Hey everybody, welcome to the Rich and Turbo Heavy Half Hour. This is Rich. You can find me on X at FuzzDoomRip and on all the socials at rich.paiva as a Doom Charts contributor and also writing for Musepedia of Metal, doing reviews. I've got my buddy Turbo here with me, my partner in crime. Turbo, what's going on?
Happy to be here.
That's
Happy to talk to the best band in the world.
I would agree with that. And when I told you you had a 1 minute opening, you took 20 seconds. So very efficient this evening, Turbo. I really appreciate that. We have Borracho with
Wait,
us.
when did you tell me I had a 1 minute? I missed that. Oh,
The Turbo kind of sneak previewed who we have on the show today. One of, if not our favorite bands in the world, out of Washington, D.C. Joining us from their practice space, Borracho. We have all three members. How are you guys doing?
Hey,
There they are.
for having us.
And I first want to say that this shirt was in my rotation. This was an accident. I didn't fanboy this too much by wearing a Borracho shirt. Too, I could have worn the one that you're wearing there, but that's still in my closet. So you can tell how big of fans we are. Can
That's
you
a
guys
rare
say
one
hello?
you got there, Rich. That's a rare
I think
one, man.
it might have been like the last one during one of the last the last sales that you had. If you guys can say hello and introduce yourselves, that would be amazing.
I'm Steve. I play guitar and sing sometimes.
Sings all the time. Mario, I play the drums and talk shop.
I'm Tim. I play bass, the low end.
Welcome, guys. And Steve, I think you kind of understated your role a little tiny bit in the band, that you sing a little bit. I hear a lot of singing. And I especially hear a lot of singing as I plug the new record, Ouroboros, that's coming out on August 8th on Ripple Music. Turbo and I have had the pleasure of being able to get a preview of it. And holy shit, guys. Pretty amazing stuff as usual. Tell us a little bit about the record, and I know we have some questions about it as well.
Can I start?
Well, I don't know. It's a record. It actually came together fairly quickly. Mario just said, "Let's book studio time and
That was
record a
the
record."
buzz,
Like,
basically,
oh
yeah.
shit, we gotta right. But it came together fairly quickly, but I mean, like a lot of the riffs we had kicking around for a long time. A lot of stuff is newer. We have quite a few riffs that we have kind of stored away for when we write. So
This is also one where like the lyrics were like written early on in the process. Like normally we've been guilty like almost all the time of like writing at the last minute, like literally in the studio. But this time we thought those out early, like planned them out. So conceptually the whole thing is kind of. Sorry.
One
I
of the
got nothing
things
to add to that. These guys kind of laid it down.
One of the things that I noticed, and Turbo and I have not had a chance to actually discuss our thoughts on the record. You guys are one of the more up to date current events kind of bands in this scene, especially with the last record. I'm probably understating that a little bit, but this record seemed a little bit different lyrically, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I just haven't had enough time to digest it. But am I wrong there? Is it a little bit of a different kind of slant lyrically, or is this kind of a continuation of the last record and kind of the push towards a very current event type situation?
for my part, it was a kind of a conscious decision to stay away from what I've been, what I usually write about, politics, conspiracies, all the nasty stuff. So I just wanted to write, try writing something different. So that was my part. Tim wrote a lot of the lyrics too, so I can't really answer for him.
I would say that like didn't the Ouroboros concept come to play kind of early also? No, later actually, right? Yeah, but we were still like. So I was gonna say this is like a record in like a series of three, like since like Pound of Flesh. We've been doing this quote unquote what you're saying topical songs. I call them kind of like well, I guess current event. I don't know.
Yeah.
Political or whatever, but yeah, I think we've been doing that. If that's what you mean by that, I think we've been doing that for a while. And I think like we're probably like at the end of the cycle with that, but like we've had that gone from like high concept to basically just like a rock album,
Yeah.
but like covering the same kind of stuff. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a lot more like thematically open to interpretation, right? So, like, there's stories really, and I really love that both Tim and Steve like came to the lyric writing with this kind of like storytelling mindset, because I really dig that in lots of other bands. But I think it's open to interpretation, right? Like, we might look at it. You could take it somewhat literally as just a story, or you could read some background into it, right? And I think maybe Tim reads more, kind of allegory kind of stuff into the lyrics that when he's kind of interpreting them, and Steve maybe less so much.
Yeah, I was listening to Succubus as I went to go pick up my food today, thinking whoever that is written on is terrifying. I'm terrified whoever Succubus is and whatever that was written about.
Well, that's Steve.
the Succubus.
Well, that's actually so. That song is actually about addiction.
Okay.
That's kind
which
of
makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it's I like to leave things kind of loose. I do like the listener to have their own interpretation.
Yeah, I was picturing just some kind of evil force in your life that was there and continually causing problems, which now makes a lot of sense when you say you wrote it about addiction. I had a person in mind. Maybe I was kind of putting my own spin on what I was hearing there too, which is probably something you'd want to do by leaving that kind of interpretation to the lyrics open, right?
I thought he meant my ex.
I mean, I have a feeling quite a few people will relate to that in that way.
Yeah.
Excellent. Turbo, as usual, for the first 10 minutes of the interview, I dominate, so I know you have a lot of questions for the guys.
Just like I said, like he said, I haven't had time. I did listen to it all day, but I haven't had full time to digest everything. And I was curious as far as when you say point of view, as to me, I felt like this is more of a societal, like point of view of the society towards what's going on instead of the other way around. Am I right on that, or am I just way off?
I mean,
Does that make sense?
that certainly creeps into everything I do. Yeah, I'm a pretty quiet guy normally, and I do a lot of observing. So, yeah, I end up writing about things that affect me. So yeah, yeah, that certainly creeps into there, maybe unintentionally.
That's how I spent my first year in college, just observing.
Just watching.
I don't know how I made it to a second year, but yeah, that was,
The interesting thing that I just reading a little bit of the bio in your Bandcamp page was kind of like, this is back to like just rock and heaviness and leaving a little bit of the psychedelic type of stuff that you did before, maybe with some of the other records, just kind of making a filthy, dirty, heavy rock record. What was that like? Was there was was it a conscious effort, or was it just you guys getting together and now this is just kind of what's coming out? The riffs are being written, or you said you had some old ones too, but did you guys get together and think, this is kind of the direction we're going in, or was it jamming, or how did that come out to be?
Oh, it was a conscious decision to more write individual songs than an album. So Atacama, Pound of Flesh, and Blurring Lines of Reality, I have concepts in my head, and we sat down to write albums, whereas this was like we just focused on individual songs. So, yeah, there's a bit of a difference in our approach to this album. But yeah, as far as it's just whatever comes out, and we start jamming, and if we like it and it sticks, we work something out and it turns into a song eventually. But also, I think a lot of it was we're kind of under the gun because
Yeah,
Mario
when I
did
booked
book
studio
time.
space, yeah, it totally lit a fire under us. We had to like do something. So,
Well, yeah, I guess
now
like,
you're happy about that.
yes, definitely.
that's kind of the reality, right? I mean, you guys gotta. There's other things going on in life, right? That this is not, things like studio time and hourly rates and whatnot.
We've kind of always been a very purposeful band, right? I mean, we're workman-like in a lot of ways, and like we're not a heavy touring band, but like we work, we write, we spend time on our records. We don't have a manager. We're doing everything ourselves, DIY, and I mean, I think that kind of workmanship comes through when you're like, well, we just got to give ourselves a deadline, right? Like we got to make things happen because life happens no matter what. And it was really good. I mean, it was healthy for us too. I think it's cathartic getting together and purposefully writing. And juggling having to rehearse for shows and play shows and all that too. But we kind of really, a lot of what we do coalesces when we create in the studio. And the studio is really a different and, I don't know, maybe preferred environment to a certain extent for us because,
It's like surgical.
you create in a different way. I mean, playing a show is amazing, right? And the endorphins and just the adrenaline. But creating in the studio is just like a different animal. I know Steve has a lot of thoughts about that.
The studio is my comfort zone. Like I said, I'm not a very sociable person, so I just like getting in the studio and, I have all kinds of crazy ideas in my head that these guys never hear until we're in the studio.
Okay.
That's where they come out. The mad professor comes out in his lab, kind of, I guess. Was it easier to write this way? Did you find it a little bit more of a struggle to do like a song, like individual songs without the concept around it, or did it just kind of come together as you guys were working together again?
It just kind of came together, really.
Yeah, it was really
I feel like I
collaborative.
had a few ideas for songs. You also had a few ideas of songs that were like, the concept for them and just like putting them together with the music when it was done was kind of like fairly, I was gonna say easy, but like kind of like by the numbers.
Yeah.
It was good.
I think the one, and spoiler alert here, for those of you who haven't heard the record, but this is, I think, our first record ever that does not have a 10-plus minute long song on it. So, not to say the songs are short, like they're still average 5, 6, 7 minutes, but yeah,
Blazing Throne. Yeah.
no true
Those-
epic on this record. We broke our streak.
Those of our short attention span listeners and friends will be excited about that. I have a few in mind that I'm thinking of. I specifically wanted to ask about one song, and again, I don't. People who are going to watch this or listen to this tomorrow are going to feel like we're teasing a little bit because we got to hear some of the great record, and I don't want to give too much away. But I do want to tease at how awesome it is. Broken Man is one that has stuck with me, especially musically, that you do something a little bit different in that. And it really, really stuck out to me and is one of my favorite songs I've ever heard you guys do. Can you tell us a little bit about Broken Man? It's going to be the last song on the record when people get to hear it. Tell us about that one if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, musically, that whole middle solo section, Mario and I were just jamming one night. He's like, we got to do something in what, 3/4. Yeah. And so we just started jamming, and that kind of section came together. And I guess the rest of it, I was just, at home, messing around on my guitar and came up with that. The rest of it. Lyrically, I set out to write a song about nothing.
The old Seinfeld
I
song.
hear songs so many times like, this song is about absolutely nothing. And it's amazing that so many people can do that. And so I set out to write about nothing, but it did turn into something. And it ended up being affected by, watching the news. I don't want to get political here, but just all the craziness that's going on, especially in D.C. We have friends being laid off left and right. We're surrounded by people that believe things without any evidence, and you say something with a mountain of evidence and they don't believe you, and so it's just kind of like about that. But initially, I set out to write a song about absolutely nothing.
It's funny that you say that. There's another DC band from the 90s. Shudder to Think, who they're one of my favorite bands, and I always sit and I wonder, like, did Craig Worden write the words to this with a meaning in mind, or what? Is this just words that came together and meant nothing? Because the words in that case meant nothing. Whereas, it's interesting that you said that. It definitely turned into not that. But just such a great song. I think that one is going to really be. I mean, the whole record is a highlight, but I personally love Broken Man. Turbo, I know you didn't get a chance to spend too much time with it, but anything stand out for you from what you heard?
I dig everything as far as what I've heard so far. I was going to ask you about working with Frank. You've worked with him on several albums now, Frank Marchand. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. How much has he working with y'all contributed to your sound and help? And does he help push you to go more and further out there, or to help you find stuff within yourself to get you along?
He's recorded all of our records. He's basically kind of defined our like a lot of what we do in the studio, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of consider him a member of the band.
Basically, yeah.
But he,
Which is why Mario had to book time so early, because he's hard to get.
We work extremely well with him. He's someone that gets me musically. Like, if I have ideas and I explain it to him, he gets it right away. That's the same reason I love playing with Mario, is he gets me right away. Tim, you have to beat him over the head a few times, but he eventually
I'm a
gets
little
it.
slower, yeah. Sorry.
But
I get it.
I mean, Frank is just, it's fun going into the studio. He's got a mountain of amplifiers. He's got, pedals out the ass. And it's just fun going in there and playing his Hammond B3. I mean, he's got all kinds of keyboards. It's filled with toys, the stuff that I geek out on. Like most of the keyboard parts I've laid down over the past few albums have been mostly improvised. But it's like, let's see what we pull out and
It sounds together and stuff, yeah. Yep.
But yeah, he knows how to get the performances out of us. Like he gets what we're going for. The interesting thing was the first time we met Frank, he did live sound for us.
Yeah.
And it was so great. We had an immediate connection with him that night, and our good buddies were like, you got to work with Frank in the studio, because that's really where he does his thing. And we started with our first record. Like, that was it. Like, we had done some kind of demoing, some stuff that ended up turning into 7 inches and other things that ended up on Riffography before we worked with Frank. But Frank saved all of those recordings. Like, they were basically unusable, and he was able to
had nothing.
do his magic, and that gave us a lot of material to release during a time when our original singer had left the band. So we wanted to release music, right? We were still active. We still wanted to be out there, and that was an amazing, kind of the first time really I think I understood what Frank is capable of doing.
Yeah.
I was looking at his credits and trying to figure out what he did, but he actually did something on one of my all-time favorite records. Not necessarily in the genre that we talk a lot about on this show or that you guys play, but he did something with Sugar's Copper Blue. And a lot of work with Bob Gould. I need to figure out what that is, and maybe.
Yeah, he has. He
actually has. He's won a Grammy for a bluegrass album he did.
Oh wow!
So he's all over the place. He does a lot of different music. He's a huge music fan, so he just understands music. Doesn't matter what genre it is.
Yeah.
But he's his heart is in he's kind of stuck in the 70s like me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's worked with Black Lung and Wino and Foghound and bands of that ilk. It's just interesting. And then when a record like that jumps out, definitely gonna have to dig a little bit more into Frank's background and figure out what he's got going on there. So we mentioned earlier you guys being on Ripple Music now. You guys did the first, I think, second coming of Heavy, right, with Geezer back in 2015 or so. Yeah. So I'm sure you guys have known Todd since then, and I'm sure he's probably bugged you to be on Ripple in some capacity at some point in time. But how did that whole thing happen? A lot of times I ask this question, and it's like Todd called me and asked if we could, do a record for him, and
his fault. It's Mario's fault.
I mean, I'm kind of like the networking guy in the band, and connected with Todd super early on. Like our first record, when Splitting Sky came out, and we were like, we're going to do another record, and the stars didn't really align for when we put out Oculus. But then, the opportunity to do, Todd was like, let's definitely do something. And it was really cool to be on that very first edition of that series, because now like doing those series is like bread and butter of the label, and so many other labels that are doing very similar things. And it was just really cool to be a part of that. We had already been buds with Geezer for years, and so that was like kind of the first thing. And then we had this idea. We had all these singles and all this stuff and the Second Coming stuff. So after we did Atacama on Cosmic, talked to Todd about doing, we had this idea for this compilation, this sort of rarities, B-sides kind of thing. And so he put that out, which was originally just a CD release, right? Because everything was already on vinyl. So it was like, he maybe wasn't super hot to trot to put it on the vinyl at that moment. But we just have stayed in touch, right? I mean, we had a very long relationship with Cosmic Artifacts, and a great relationship with Cosmic Artifacts. But timing was just right. This time it just really worked out. I think after the last record, Todd was excited. Knew he wasn't going to have to wait to hear anything, and we just planned for it. And the timing, part of the timing of pushing the studio time was to get into a slot so we could be on the production schedule for this year, because we wanted to have a new record this year. So it's crazy how much you have to plan in advance. A record doesn't happen in 3 months these days. Like, it just doesn't happen that way.
We've talked to a lot of bands, Ripple and otherwise, that they're on to writing and recording their next record, and they're putting the one out that is coming out now that it's like a year and a half old, just because of the way stuff kind of happens. I mean, the vinyl that you put out with Ripple, the Second Coming of Heavy, until one of you guys found one in your closet somewhere, and I got it. Like that was I had like 2 gaps in my Ripple collection, and that was one of them.
Oh wow! So I remember you hit me right away as soon as that. You were like, "Oh my god! I just happened to see this, and I got it." That's so funny. It's awesome.
Very, very excited for me to fill that gap in my collection. You mentioned you guys aren't really a touring band, but you do play out, right? You do shows relatively locally, I assume. What are you guys planning on for this record? I feel like I saw some kind of record release or something that you guys are doing on one of the socials. But what are you guys doing around playing out this for the record?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit planned towards the end of the summer, really kicking things in. We're going up to RPM Fest up in Western Mass. Which is something we've been trying to get into for a couple of years, and super excited about that. We're going to be playing a couple shows around that up in New York as well with Duel. So super stoked to hook up with those guys, and it's just a couple of one-off shows, but should be super killer. And then, we come back to DC, and we've got a record release show in September and a few other things lined up. So that's in Baltimore, and then we're playing down in Richmond. And the booking machine is in full effect right now. So anybody sees this and wants us, we're trying to string some things together because we've got a new record. It's time to rock.
Obviously, I was going to say, the kind of the sales guy, the marketing guy, the booker, and the drummer, all of the above. Love it.
The hustler. He also happens to be the best guitarist in the band.
Yeah.
So really? So yes. Have we heard your work anywhere else?
Not lately, but once upon a time. We all were in bands together before and all on different instruments. So it's pretty funny. Now the band's been around so long that lore isn't really that big, but it was kind of like we were kind of a side project.
Well, I was going to say, you guys, you as the core, you three have been together since just 2013 as a trio, right? Is that am I correct there? Obviously, you were together before with your old singer, but that's pretty. I mean, 12 years is pretty solid to keep a one lineup. It's hard to think of a lot of bands who have done that. What's the secret to keeping you guys together this long and having just that core stay together?
Codependent.
Needing to do it. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like I moved off of the continent for 3 years and they wouldn't replace me. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So you tried to get away and they wouldn't let you.
I had a little sabbatical. No, but during that sabbatical, we put out Atacama, we put out Riffography. We did a bunch of writing. We had recorded a few singles. Like, it was actually pretty. We didn't play a ton of shows, but we did a lot of stuff. And I appreciate that about these guys, right? I'm only half joking about the codependent.
I mean, it's awesome. There are bands that put records out now, and there's one guy who's still in the band, and I just got an album to review for Musepedia of Metal. Just a plug for Matt. It's Leonard Skinner's 50th anniversary, and I just can't figure out like if none of those guys were in Leonard Skinner. And I'm not even sure the guys who are in the band now are in like the second version of Leonard Skinner. So it's a testament to what you guys can do, and the quality of your music that's coming out. It's killer. You guys are growing, and I think you put out more and more better stuff as your records come out. And not trying to kiss your ass there, but when everyone hears the record, they'll understand that we're not just saying that because we have you guys on the show.
That was very kind words. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. What songs are you most looking forward to playing when you play out? Specifically, the new songs on the record.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them?
I've been wanting to personally play these songs since we finished cutting the record, and we can't because it's come out till August, and it's so annoying.
Yeah, we have a new single now, so we can play right now. We can play 2 songs.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. That's true.
Yeah, Machine is the Master for sure. Super fun to play. Really just killer groove and just a fun one to jam with these guys on. And Tyrant. I think is. Hopefully that'll be a good live one.
Lord of Suffering.
Lord of
Tyrant
Tyrant was a working title.
Yes.
That's
We don't even know our
working
own song
title.
title.
Okay, we don't write tell anyway.
No, that's right. That's why we don't know.
That's right.
So yeah, again, I can't wait for everyone to hear this. Turbo, what else do you have with the guys? We're on the clock here, so I want to make sure you guys can get to your practicing and you get the most out of the day without having to talk to us too much. But Turbo, do you have anything else for the guys while we have them?
Just one question for Steve, one question for Tim, and Mario. You're doing a great job. I wondered, Steve, you mentioned about doing a covers album to tributes to your friends, some of your friends along the way. How's that coming along?
It's, we got to get back on that. We rehearsed a few of the songs and then just get busy with other deadlines. It's still something we want to do. But yeah, we keep getting busy. It's much easier.
Have you heard?
Unfortunately, it's much easier for me to write songs than learn someone else's. I'll never be in a...
Have you heard Lost Caverns? The guys from 60 Watt Shaman? Isn't that the band's name, Lost Cavern?
Yes, Lost Cavern, yeah.
Have you heard any of that?
No, I haven't heard that.
No.
We'll send you the link. It's I think you guys would really dig that one.
Right on.
Yeah, because it's got that 60 Watt Shaman feel to it. I mean, it's basically most of the people in it, I think.
No, you're right.
So Rich, you said your favorite song was, if I can be so bold, your favorite song was Burning Man. I mean, what?
Broken Man.
Broken
Sorry.
Man.
What is yours,
Don't
Turbo?
smoke
Do
weed.
you have one?
Succubus.
Oh, okay.
And,
Well,
That'll
Was
be
it Freak Show?
that'll be the single that drops with the record. So that'll be
Succubus?
coming out the end of next month, just ahead of the record.
and it's only still June, So there's time for this to change. Of what our favorite songs are. Turbo, you had a question for Tim though too, didn't you?
Tim, you designed the album cover, right?
Yep.
What's going on there?
There's a lot going on.
Actually, we basically, as a group, had this concept of the Ouroboros, and at least loosely, a lot of the songs, if not all the songs, hopefully at some level, talk about how like society is eating itself. It's like crumbling, or it has crumbled, or it's like in a state of decline in some way, right? So the background is basically like a scene of that kind of decline. It shows violence, war, the historical reference sort of plays to the song, about Vlad the Impaler. And then the graphics in the middle kind of like play to the things we like. Like if you look at the inside spread for Pound of Flesh, or the back cover, it has that preacher that's on the pulpit there, and it has all these symbols across the bottom of it. We like to do that kind of thing in all of the designs, and so like the Ouroboros snake with the eye and the fire around it is all kind of like just symbolizing that sort of like central power, that sort of like civilization burning. That it's kind of like it's Borracho's secret, mythical sign. Get it all tattooed on you.
I was going to say that is an absolute tattoo design for someone to get, a fan of the band to get, or maybe you guys to keep your bond going. I'll get one of the snake with the eye. I think that would be a great band bonding
It's
moment.
time for Mario to get his neck tattooed.
That's right. Yeah, it's time.
The eye right there. That would be that. Yeah.
Third eye right there.
Well, guys, thank you for coming on the show. I know we've been coordinating it for a little while. The second that Ripple announced that you guys signed, I think I sent you guys a note, and you're like, settle down. In the nicest possible way. You were like, settle down. The record's not coming out for a long time. So thank you for working with us and coming on and talking to us. We absolutely love the record. You'll see us all over the socials just screaming about it for until your next one comes out, I assume. But Borracho's got Ouroboros comes out August 8th on Ripple Music. It's killer. Go pre-order it. Go listen to the two singles, Vegas Baby and Machines the Master. You guys are going to love it. And congratulations on the record when it finally comes out. And congratulations and good luck in your shows. And come talk to us again if you don't mind. I would love to have you guys back and chatting with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Turbo. Yeah, it's our
Thanks for
pleasure.
having us on.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Great.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
Cheers.